Today, I'm travelling to work in style. I'm riding in what in 1907 was described as the best car in the world, a Rolls-Royce Silver Ghost, or, to give it a slightly less catchy name, a 4050. When this car came out in 1906, I reckon this was quite the way to travel. Lovely, luxurious seats, driver up front doing a grand job. I'm quite taken with it. Around 7,800 of these six-cylinder machines were built between 1906 and 1926, but all of them have been nicknamed Silver Ghost since chassis 12 was used as a company demonstrator. It was used in reliability trials to gain publicity for the company. I'll be catching up with that beauty a little later in the show. But first, I've come to Essex to find out what goes into keeping these magnificent machines running over a century after the conception. Jonathan, I think it's fair to say when the Silver Ghost came out, it really changed the public's perception of what a motor car was all about. Is that fair?
Well, it totally rewrote the rulebook, really. Cars prior to this were quite crude, rough and ready, and the Silver Ghost came out and it was wonderfully quiet, hugely powerful.
Hence Ghost, with the quiet.
Hence Ghost. But also, despite the initial high outlay of buying a car, they were relatively economical cars to run, which was something they were very keen to promote.
I wouldn't have thought that.
But it's part of the quality of the car. You wouldn't tolerate a car that needed regular repairs or maintenance, so the car drove 15,000 miles without any mechanical failure, which completely changed the standards in the day. Just wonderful things that just totally raised the bar.
And it's a stunning thing to look at, isn't it?
It is.
Beautiful cars. I don't know where to look first. Cracking workshop.
Thank you.
So it must be a bit of a niche market restoring these. What goes into it?
Well, firstly, an awful lot of hard work, but before you start a big project like this, you have to research how the car was originally, and then from there you start by dismantling the project, examining all the components, working out what needs to be remade, what needs to be replaced, what needs to be repaired. We try and repair as much as possible. That's first and foremost, is preserve as much of the original car as possible. And then if there's anything that needs to be modified, upgraded to suit modern day conditions, we can incorporate that. But the beauty of a Silver Ghost is you don't need to do too much of that sort of thing. Some cars have had harder lives than others. Sometimes cars are coming in as incomplete cars and we have to complete them by producing parts, sourcing parts.
What can you make here?
Typically I say if you can hold it in your hand, you can make it. There's always those things that nobody's producing that you can't find that you have to make yourself, and we've got the facilities to do that.
And the skills to do it as well?
Well, it's something that's been built up over many years, but it's the determination to do it as well, the enthusiasm. You've got to want to do it.
This is a rare treat, isn't it, to see one with its body off?
Authenticity and originality is everything nowadays, and so, for example, everything you're looking at here is the real, genuine parts. Many of them have got their part numbers and the engine number stamped on them still, so it's important to retain all of that.
I would never have guessed what exquisite engineering Rolls-Royce were putting into cars over 100 years ago. So over its long production run, the Silver Ghost had a lot of different body shapes. What's your favourite?
Truth is, I have lots of favourites. I like the craftsmanship and workmanship that went into the formal-bodied cars, and then I also like the lighter, sleeker, faster sporting versions too. It's difficult to pick one, but I have a fabulous car outside, which if you would like to drive, we could go for a spin.
You're going to let me drive one?
Absolutely.
Oh, fantastic, thank you. This 1925 Silver Ghost Torpedo Tourer, with body styled by Barker, was the last one built in Britain by Rolls-Royce. Highly original, it's only covered 129,000 miles. Time to put a few more on its clock. So here we are. We've talked about them, we've had a look at them. I'm ready to drive one, but honestly, I'm not quite sure how it works. Jonathan, over to you.
Well, the first thing you need to be aware of is if you look down at the gear quadrant, then you move it through to neutral.
Yes, milady.
I think I'd like to take a little ride.
You would want to richen the mixture.
Okay.
And Parker,
The ignition switch, the rotary switch in the middle there.
Yes, milady.
somewhere just around the countryside.
Rolls-Royce would have taught chauffeurs how to do this.
Have you prepared the Rolls-Royce? Is it ready for a run?
I feel like I'm on my driving test.
Oh yes, milady. Quite all right. Everything's been done.
Don't want. Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm pretty good, thanks.
I've lubricated all the cannon
Handbrake on.
and I've polished up the gun.
Sounds like a goose.
A chauffeur always been encouraged to make the car operate silently.
Oh, Parker. Well done.
Off she goes. I do feel like I'm on an audition for my chauffeur's job. All right, first shift coming up. Don't screw it up.
Very good. You mentioned about the chauffeur, and something I was always told, before you can drive fast, you've got to learn how to drive well slowly. And because smoothness and all that sort of thing is...
Have you been talking to Jackie Stewart?
No, I haven't.
That's all
no.
he used to say to me as
Really?
a boy. You've got to be smooth. You sure you've not been talking to Jackie?
No.
I love the steering. Tactile. I can feel what's going on with the car. I can feel the tyres. I can feel the load in the tyre.
Lots of feedback, very direct and very refined with it too.
Yeah. It's a perfect weight at speed. I have to say it, when you're parked, a little heavy.
It's a bit heavy.
All the chauffeurs probably look like Popeye back in the day, but goes as well. We're sitting at 40 miles an hour, so it's quite lovely. Should we go to the top?
Yeah, pull it, no trouble.
That was not my best shift. What is maximum RPM?
About 2,300. So you'll be doing about 65 miles an hour at that.
What's the fastest you've gone on one?
I've done 65. Different coach work had different speeds. Well, there were Silver Ghosts that got up to 100 miles an hour, but they were sort of special trials car. And
Hot rods.
there's details on this car that you don't see on others.
These lights are cool. The little dipping. I mean, you literally dip the lights. The light does that. It's kind of saluting your
Winking at people
motorist.
coming the other way.
Yeah, exactly. This would have caused a bit of a stir back in the day.
The difference between this car and your everyday average car was greater than it is today with the Phantom and your Ford Fiesta or something.
Haven't driven one, I get it.
Yeah.
It's a fun car to drive. To just drive it, which is what it's all about, they're fantastic. I think it's an amazing car. You find something interesting in them all, and this is not just interesting, it's stunning.
An interesting car collection is a varied one. There's a space for a Silver Ghost in every car collection, I think.
I can't argue with you.
Yeah, not only do I love working on them, but I love driving them. I was fortunate enough that I grew up around these cars. You know, from a child we went on holiday in them. And my first car I ever drove was a Silver Ghost.
Mine was a Vauxhall Nova. I know it's childish, but I'm going to have a go at the horn. Is that okay?
You're going to try.
Yeah.
Everybody needs a klaxon.
I think I've just lost my chauffeur's job. I'm back at Jonathan Wood's workshop to look at an unfinished restoration that's taken 10 years to reach this phase of rebuild. This 1911 Silver Ghost remained in the same Italian family for 95 years. Bought new by a count from Bologna, it has survived 2 world wars. It even participated in the first one as a soldier's transportation. But it's the fact that it was the first Rolls-Royce to be entered into the Monte Carlo Rally in 1912, where it finished 4th overall, which is the most remarkable. I caught up with its current owner, also an Italian, who has a passion for perfection.
I bought the car in 2006 and shipped it over in early 2007. I would never have dreamt of owning it one day. When I bought this car, I knew it deserved to be brought back to its former glory. It's a very important car and it needs to be done by someone who knows exactly what he's doing. Restoration takes time. It is a labor of love. In my case, obviously it's not finished yet because, as John Lennon used to say, life has the habit of getting in your plans and changing it. Had I finished the car, we wouldn't be here shooting this wonderful chassis. So now I know why I did it like that. The chassis is finished, exactly like Rolls-Royce would have made it and sent it to the coach builder. We all love to see these beautiful Silver Ghosts, but it's ironic the automotive masterpiece of Sir Henry Royce is always hidden by the good work of the coach builders.
Marco's Silver Ghost definitely was a car that was a total restoration project and very much a barn find. Although it had work done to it, it was many years prior to us receiving it back in the 60s. It was probably done by an agricultural engineering firm, so it was crude and basic. Certain things had been painted with primer and undercoat. The chassis had been drilled in a number of places because it's had different coachwork fitted. Once it was a bare chassis, it was a case of establish what we want to repair, what we want to lose, what we want to cover up, and what we want to keep and save. The beauty of Marco's car is everything that's there is genuine, is correct. It's not something that's been faked up.
I almost think it's a shame to put a body on this fantastic mechanical, well, masterpiece really, but fascinating to look at it. Look at these brass lines. It sort of blurs the lines almost between a railway locomotive and a car.
Yes, Sir Henry Royce came from a railroad background, and this is something you can see all over the car. In those days, labor was not expensive. You could have some things that took a long time, as neat as they could be. They were perfectionists. Even if something was going to be hidden, they just wanted it to be finished in a perfect way. And this is one of the things that helped create this myth about Rolls-Royce. You have to hit a very fine balance between restoring and recreating something that's too new. We did keep some of the scars that the car had, because these are the ones that are now part of the history of the car.
Marco, why have you brought me here to show me this old rusty wheel?
Because this is a fundamental part of the history of the car. You see, there's a hole here. This was done by a bullet shot by the receding German army when the car was stored in the owner's estate near Bologna in 1945. So it is a part of the history, and I will keep it like this.
What a fantastic story.
Yeah.
This car is wonderful because it's in such lovely, good condition, but it is the history and the story that makes it, and it's what makes that car worthwhile. I get a great kick out of understanding what's gone in that car's lifespan and the things that it's achieved. This year is 110 years of the Silver Ghost. It's standing the testament of time. Everybody still recognises that special name. The manufacturer has reused the name recently, bringing out the Ghost, so it's a hugely significant car.
In a car full of the most beautiful engineering features, this particular one caught my eye. Locking wheel nuts. In order to use it, you undo the safety, take out the spanner. Racing driver with spanner, always dangerous. You can see the safety catch there as well. Undo it. And it actually pulls the wheel off the hub at the same time. Really incredible. As you put it back on, you can hear the detents clicking. Spanner off, safety catch back on. This is 100 years old plus, this design. And today, in modern top-level racing, they're still using an example of it. Those Rolls-Royce boys, they really, really knew their stuff.
We're probably 70% there. We need to restore the body. It'll take a few years. It takes a lot of commitment, but every time I come here and I see it, it definitely was worth it.
What an amazing machine, and what a proud moment for me. Marco and Jonathan granted me the special privilege of fitting the new chassis plate to this masterpiece of craftsmanship and restoration. The finishing touch. Don't screw it up. My OCD's taken over. Got the screw heads in the same direction. There we go.
Done like a pro, well done.